Good point. Okay. Once you go live.
Volume up. Okay, volume up.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to the summit. We want to open up with a prayer given by Dr. Von Corner for prayer. Dr. Corner.
We bow our heads, God. We're grateful for the privilege to come into your presence. And thank you for waking us up this morning. Thank you for activities of our limbs. Thank you for a mind to want to be a part of the solution. Now, God, we pray that you would come into this space, speak through our lips of clay, give us what to say and how to say it. And that we would all walk away feeling empowered to make a difference in our communities. Now we pray for every speaker, we pray for everyone in the audience. We pray, God, that this day will just be a day where you are glorified. And we will make sure that we give you the praise. In your name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, at this time, I would like to introduce the director of this amazing, incredible facility.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Williams, Director of East School Public Library. On behalf of our Board of Trustees, welcome to the Grant East Performing Arts Center. East Cleveland Public Library is the school district public library, which means our trustees are appointed by the East Cleveland Board of Education. We are a political subdivision here in the state of Ohio. This time I would like to recognize the trustees of the East Cleveland Public Library that are here. Carol Shaikhi, President. Sheila Kashabu, Vice President. Obeys Secretary. Dr. Marianne Harris, who's here. Please give her a hand. Dr. Jill Jordan, Taisha Blade, and Nathan Page. So we are so grateful to have the opportunity to host this summit, this community conversation, this partnership with Avi Media and Lily Sharp. Please give them a hand. This program falls within the mission of the East Cleveland Public Library to provide life-enhancing, knowledge-raising library services and cultural activities that reflect the needs of East Cleveland community and also Northeast Ohio. You can find out more about the things that we do by going to the website eastclevelandpubliclibrary.org. We have a program guide outside at the table. You can find out the things that we do in this fall. Our winter program guide will come out in the spring. We'll be celebrating Halloween for the children as a safe space in the community. So if you want to donate some candy, we'll receive that. But we got a lot going on over here at East Cleveland Public Library, so it's very important not only that you support East Cleveland Public Library, but you support all public libraries, which are under attack under the state budget. So with that, I would like to turn this over to our partner, Mr. Billy Shaw.
Let's give the other another round of applause. So I want to open up by kind of giving the backdrop of sort of how we got here. It was about a month ago. I was looking around and I felt dismayed. I saw in media where Harriet Tubman had been taken off the Smithsonian website, and her comments had been taken off, and I felt like our history was being erased right before our eyes. And I'm looking around for, well, what are we doing about it? We've been told for decades we need to know our history, and now we, as adults, are going to watch as they erase our history right in front of our faces. Not to mention the government shutdown. We're under a backdrop of a lot of stuff that's going to be facing our community soon. My intent in this is to get us organized. get us organized. So I've invited some organizations, historic, like civil rights organizations, to come and let us know what they are doing. I invited some community activists to let us know what they are doing. How do we get organized in this moment, as this administration says, potentially, if you're looking at why they went into D.C., looking at the crime rate, well, you know what Cleveland's crime rate is, right? So we should have been on that list. What do we do to organize in the event of that? How do we operate in that? So my intent is to get us organized today. Now, remember, this is only part one. There's going to be a part two. So we're not going to solve all of our problems in this room. So remember, I asked you to write on the comment cards the issues that you see in your view. We're going to select those, and we're going to have those read from either side of the podium. I want us to be respectful of our guests. They're coming to give us information. It's information that we need to know. Again, how do we operate in the shutdown? I have Obi Shelton here to give us an update on the cultural gardens. I think that's important for us to know. That's a part of our history. We need to get that done. So I'm going to start out by introducing our panelists. First, Marshall Mockery, CEO and President of the Urban League. Will Carter, President of the NAACP. Dr. Reverend E.T. Cabinet, President of SCLC Cleveland. Dr. Marcia McCoy, President of National Action Network. Chairman Shaheen New Era Cleveland. Dan Woodward, community activist. And Bob Rivers, community activist and member of the Fair Housing Board. So I'm going to say to our panelists that I told you this in the sort of green room that we had back there, that I really appreciate you coming in this moment, that in this climate that we're in, this conversation could put you, not only your organization at risk, but you personally at risk. I understand that. And I thank you again very much for coming to be a part of this conversation. So thank you. Let's give another round of applause. So as you see, look right there, guys. See the young lady with the two right there? That's going to be our timekeeper. You'll have 7 to 10 minutes to do your opening comments and let the public know what are we doing, what are your organization doing in this moment. You're going to have to share mics. So I'm going to first start with CEO Maki.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
You all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. Really thankful to be here and have the opportunity to share with you what the Urban League of Greater Cleveland is doing in this community. We are your Urban League of Greater Cleveland, and we're about empowering communities and changing lives. That's our day-to-day mission. This organization has paid staff whose job it is every day to deliver services to this community. And the services at the Urban League are free and available to everyone in Cuyahoga County. So we want to make sure that you see there's a resource table. I brought staff with me today. The resource table is out there with staff to talk to you about the services that we have so that you can understand how you can access them and how you can be able to participate in what we have available. I also wanted to do this. I wanted to leave something for you in your hands. So if you don't have a copy of this, I want to make sure that we get this into your hands, because I wanted to leave something in your hand so that after this presentation is over, you know how to get in touch with us and you have information as to how you can access the services. So the first thing is, this is the motto for the National Urban League and all of the urban University, and defeat poverty. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about each of those to you. So in your packet, we're going to talk about Urban League a little bit. I'm not gonna read to you, it tells you who we are. It talks about the Urban League of Greater Cleveland. We just completed a National Urban League Conference that we sponsored. This company sponsored the National Urban League here of about 7,000 people in July of this year. And I hope some of you had a chance to take advantage of that opportunity. And then the National Conference in 2026 will be in Nashville. It moves around every year. It is an honor to be able to host a national conference, and we're thankful that we were able to bring this to our community. Let me tell you that on our community day, we gave away over 5,000 book bags to our community. We gave away during that time 500 pairs of shoes to school-age children. We had expungement services available. We also have those at the Urban League on a regular basis. And so we are doing many things in our workforce area with workforce training. We have a financial opportunity center where we're able to help you to save money, budget, increase your credit score, and involve yourselves in savings plans that allow you to actually have money contributed to match what you put into savings. So there's many things that are available to you, and we want to make sure you know about those. But I know front and center today is I want to talk a little bit about defend democracy. So if you kind of want to turn to that page next. The National Urban League demands an end to the shutdown that threatens Americans and democracy. And while we're fighting that battle, we're also trying to decide and decipher with resources, how do we support our communities who are already affected? We know SNAP is in trouble. We know those who are not housed, there's issues there. We've got issues everywhere that affect our community.
Medicaid, Medicare.
Absolutely, all those, absolutely right. And we're going to hear from you. We're going to give you a chance to hear from you. I'm just giving you an overview, right? And we're going to hear from you about what your specific concerns are. Thank you for saying that. And we're going to give you a chance because we want to make sure you have cards. Please write those concerns over there that are specific, that you care about, because we're going to pay attention to those, and we want to be able to address everything. Fair enough? Okay, thank you. Thank you for contributing. That's what we're going to want from you, okay? And so, we have a Washington Bureau in D.C. that tells us on a weekly basis what the shutdown is really addressing and how it's going to affect our communities. So to your point, my colleague, absolutely, they're addressing all those things that you mentioned, and then some that we haven't even mentioned yet. So those are things that we want to stay on top of and pay attention to, so we can be prepared to figure out how do we survive, right, in the midst of those. Not only survive, and how do we continue to get ready to thrive in the midst of those things. So thank you for that. Also, protecting our voting rights. Okay? Anybody in here disagree that protecting our voting rights is a big thing? So we agree, right? Okay, protecting voting rights is a big thing, all right? And restoring economic stability for our working families, that is a big issue. So I will tell you that the National Urban League sued the current administration when the first round of executive orders came out. We have continued to address the administration every time a move was made that negatively affects our community. Okay. So moving quickly, if you go to the next page, demand diversity, I'm going to just hit that one lightly. We have an Equity Institute at the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, and you can see the highlights there. I'm being cognizant of time because we So you can see here that we're facing the most perilous times in our history where diversity, equity, and inclusion are being undermined and quite frankly attacked. Okay, and that comes from Kevin Clayton of the Cavaliers, who is board chair of the Urban League of West Cleveland. And what I will share with you is, I'm going to ask everybody in this audience, when you talk about this issue, don't call it DEI. Call it out what it is. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because each of them means something different and have a role to play in making sure that we get equal access to opportunities. So, can I have you say with me, diversity,
Equity
and
and inclusion.
not DEI. Okay, excellent. All right, going quickly now to the defeat poverty page. What I'm going to highlight, if you were out in the resource fair, we talked to my team out there, you saw the things that we have on the table about our workforce area and our financial opportunity center. But I also want you to know that we have a small business development center and a minority business assistance center that's designed to help those of you that are trying to start a business, grow a business, expand a business, certify a business. We have a one-stop shop for entrepreneurs at the Urban League. We weren't able to have that team here today because they were doing some other things, but you can make an appointment, and if you give your information to my staff out there, they can also give it to our entrepreneurship center and have someone to contact you if you have an interest there. Okay? Again, because I want to respect time, my time is up, so I'm going to stop, but you have here everything that you need to understand, and I'm going to give you one last thing. If you have a place for notes, I'm going to give you this phone number, 216-622-0999. That's how to reach the Urban League, and our website is actually here. You can go on the website and find out about all that we have to offer. Thank you.
That's my CEO.
What was that number again?
216-622-0999. Okay?
Got it. All right. By show of hands, how many in this moment feel powerless? By show of hands, raise your hand. You feel powerless in this moment? Powerless, yes, in this moment. Powerless in this moment. I got you. All right. So this is what I'll say today as I introduce our next speaker. You do have some power. You have your vote, you have your dollar, and you have your time. You have your vote, you have your dollar, and you have your time. What do I mean by your vote? Exercise your vote in your interest. Vote in your interest. Your dollar, spend your dollar where it's applicable to you. That means black business, supporting black business, spend your dollar there, and your time, donate your time to uplift one of these organizations, right? All right. Our next guest, Will Tarter from the NAACP, president of NAACP. Sorry about that, Will. Go ahead.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Will Tarter, and I'm very fortunate and thankful to serve as the president of the Cleveland branch NAACP. First, I want to thank God for the opportunity to be here and be here in fellowship with all of you. Thank Billy for the invitation. Really appreciate the opportunity. Thank fellow panelists to be here, and most of all, also thank you for taking the time out to be here to learn about the organizations and the issues that are confronting our community. So I prepared a PowerPoint presentation. I'll call your attention over to the left-hand side. This is a condensed version of a presentation that we do at our NAACP Open House, and this is called NAACP 101. And it's my goal today to provide a high-level overview of what the NAACP is at the national level, the state level, and the local level, so that you know what issues you would like to intersect with our branch and how we can help. So as I said, I'm the president of the Cleveland branch. I've been in office since January of 2025, so we're going on 9 months total. I'm very thankful to be here, and we are governed by our bylaws, which are available online at nacp.org. This really sets into motion the structure of the branch and how we govern. So in this presentation, we're going to briefly touch on the history of the NACP, the types of branches, our committee structure, when we meet, and how you can join us as a member of the NACP. We were founded in 1909, and our mission is to achieve equity, political rights, and social inclusion by advocating policies, advancing policies and practices that expand human civil rights, eliminate discrimination, accelerate the well-being, education, and economic security of Black people and all persons of color. So we have our national NACP that really governs us at the national level and concentrates on national issues. They're headquartered in Baltimore. We have 7 regions, and we have 2,200 NACP units nationwide. And I'll get into what those units are comprised of momentarily. Here in Cleveland, we have a very long and established history of civil rights upon whose shoulders we stand today. Our branch was founded in December of 1912. We hosted 2 national conventions, one in 1924 and the other in 1958. This is a picture of the convention in 1924. On the far left-hand side in the bottom corner is W.E.B. Du Bois, who was here in Cleveland for the National Convention. In the middle is Walter White, who was the first executive director of the National NACP and did a lot of work in investigating lynchings across the country. Today, our work in advocacy and legislation continues. This past April, we hosted a national advocacy training where we had individuals from 13 states who gathered in Cleveland to learn about how to become better advocates. We also hosted a judicial forum just last month for all of the candidates for Cleveland Municipal Court judge. It was attended by 125 people over at the Martin Luther King Jr. Library. We also hosted a health forum called Ace Your Health, where we talked about the importance of heart health. We brought in national experts to give us guidance on how we can improve our overall cardiovascular health. And then we've also issued statements on a number of issues, most recently the police chases that have been taking place in our community, and we need to change the policies around police chases because they're impacting and disproportionately impacting our community. We also issued a statement about the Ohio National Guard that is being discussed to be deployed in Cleveland, and basically the response to that. And when we talk about our elders and how that brought a lot of vivid memories back from the late 1960s and seeing the National Guard in Cleveland and some of the emotional scars that we still feel today. So we will talk about many of these issues in dialogue in the NACP and what we can do about it. We also host various events around town. We are always talking about the importance of voting and turnout. We host events for our veterans. That's a picture of one of the most recent veterans events in the upper right-hand corner. Our annual Freedom Fund dinner is our principal fundraiser. And then we also sponsor different events across the city, including the Universal Circus, among others. In terms of our composition, we have state conferences that focus on state issues. So we have the Ohio Conference of the NACP. We have our local branches that are governed by the cities and have jurisdiction across the city and the county. We have prison branches. So we have branches that are inside the prisons who are supporting those who are currently incarcerated. We have a very active prison branch at the Northeast Ohio Reintegration Center. We also have collegiate chapters that individuals can form on the local campus for individuals under 25. We have youth councils that are also for individuals under the age of 25 who may not necessarily be in college. We have high school chapters that individuals can form, and we also have junior youth councils under the age of 18. Our branch structure, we have officers who are elected to 2-year terms. The president and other officers are here. But the governing body of the NACP lies in the executive committee. These individuals are elected to 2-year terms and also are the chairs of the various committees, which I'll get into momentarily. But really the power of our organization lies in our members. Our membership is only $30, and that gets you access to information, different events, and voting on issues as a general body. Now, some branches across the country, but not all, have paid staff. For me, this is a volunteer position. But Cleveland is very fortunate to have 2 paid staff persons, an executive director, and our office is located at the intersection of 30th and Euclid, as well as an administrative assistant handling daily operations of the branch. Now that executive committee I mentioned is comprised of the officers, the chairs, and also advisors from various youth units. Well, really the crux of our organization lies in what's called the standing committees. We have 22 what are called standing committees. Each one of these committees focuses on a different topic. So we have armed services for our veterans, criminal justice, economic development, education, health, labor and industry, LGBTQIA+, political action, prison branch, religious affairs, women in the NACP, housing. So no matter what issue you are interested in, there's a committee for you. These committees meet on a monthly basis, and they provide a monthly report at our monthly meetings that take place the second Tuesday of every month. So think of our local branch as a hub and spoke model, where theoretically any member of the NACP can come to our monthly meetings and hear reports on each of those committees and the work that's taking place there. If there's an issue in our community that needs to be addressed or discussed, that oftentimes takes place in those committees. Now, how do we get to our endorsement? Many of the issues get discussed inside the standing committees first. Sometimes they will vote things out of committee to be considered to the executive committee, but not always. Sometimes things get discussed in the executive committee, but not necessarily endorsed. But if they do get endorsed, they go to the general body for a vote. And that ultimately becomes the standing position of our local unit. So we invite you to become a member. We talked about ways to support our organization. One is to become a member, and you can go to clevelandnacp.org, or you can go to our national NACP website and enter in our local unit, which is 3176. You put in your information, and they'll send you an NACP membership card to carry with you. Our meetings take place the second Tuesday of every month. Our executive committee meets at 6 o'clock, and then our general body meetings are at 7:30. Our general body meetings are in a hybrid environment, so you can come in person if you would like, or if you'd like to join virtually, we're able to do that as well. The key is accessibility, so that individuals who may not be comfortable driving at night are still able to tune in, or maybe who may not have internet access are still able to physically come to the meeting. Either way, you get access to the information that's discussed at our general body meeting. Our membership is only $30 for a year, $10 for our youth membership. Our prison memberships are $12. And we also have a special women in the NACP organization as well that has a $10 dues, and they have various events as well. And then for those who would consider becoming life memberships, for individuals under the age of 13, $100. Bronze life is $400. Silver life starts at $750. Now you don't necessarily have to pay $750. You can pay $75 for 10 years, and also gets you a life membership. That means you can vote in all of the NACP elections, as well as get access to all the benefits on a regular annual membership. But these dollars are crucial to the lifeblood of our organization, and that's why we're able to do what we do. I won't get into our elections because I see our time is up, but if you're interested in having an NACP sponsor an event, we ask that you get that information to us at least 45 days before the event for us to review and consider. And then we discuss things and evaluate, and we will try to figure out if we can support the event or not. But the key is that there are a lot of issues in our community, and the NACP is responding to those issues, and that can get into some of the specifics. But it's also just as important to understand the governance and the structure, so that our community is aware of how the NACP can help. So thank you so much for the opportunity to provide that very brief overview. I know it was quick, but I hope it was helpful. So no matter what your issue or your topic you're passionate about, there's a way to intersect with others. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'd like to take this time before we get to the next speaker to recognize any clergy, if you mind standing. Let's give them a round of applause for this stand. Thank you for being a part of this conversation. All right, so next, it gives me pleasure to introduce, it's a lot of titles on this one, Reverend Dr. E.T. Cavendish, President of SCLC, Cleveland.
Thank you, my brother. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference was founded in Atlanta, Georgia in 1957 by civil rights leaders, including Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to coordinate and support nonviolent protests against segregation. Initially, where did I stop? Initially, leveraging the moral authority of black churches, the SCLC became a major civil rights movement through the campaign like in Birmingham, Alabama, and Selma, Alabama, advocating registration and pushing for federal civil rights legislation. The history is marked by both monumental achievements, like the March on Washington and the later challenges. The foundation was founded in Atlanta, Georgia, by African-American ministers and civil rights groups, including Ralph Abernathy and King. The organization was formed to coordinate and support protest activities across the South and to harness black churches to advance the cause of civil rights. It was founded upon the principle of nonviolent resistance and civil disobedience and confront segregation and racial injustice. Now, you remember in March 23rd, 1965, I came to Cleveland in 1961, and you would never believe that what you're seeing now is what you saw then. Back in 61, you had to know where you were going in Cleveland or you might get lynched. It was up south as far as I was concerned. You had to be careful where you were and where you are, because you didn't know what was happening. There was ironclad kind of segregation and the like downtown and whatnot. If you dispute me, just check the evidence. So we in the ministers' meeting thought we would go downtown and confront Ralph Local, the mayor, and ask him about kind of integrating us and including us in the activities that were going around the city. Instead of having dialogue and discussion, Mayor Local, Ralph Local, called the police and put us out of City Hall. That was a call to battle. Yes. Carl Burton Stokes was around. We were angry, we were mad. Carl said, don't be mad, don't be angry, be smart. Come together. And you know, one man asked the Lord to do, Lord, I want you to do one thing for me, and that is bring these black folks together. It was difficult, y'all would laugh at that. It was difficult for us to come together. But because of that sting that the mayor inflicted upon us, we got together and began an organization of freedom that has resonated down through the years. Martin Luther King Jr. was a frequent visitor to Cleveland because he knew the Bustamante and the like. I had met Martin back in 1955 in East St. Louis, Illinois, where I was on a campaign to integrate the city administration. So Martin came here with all of his resources, SCLC, with all of his resources, and entourage, with multitudinous people to work in this city. And we began the process of trying to integrate black folk. All black folk had downtown was the janitorship. They were janitors, and then the civil rights organization, who was that? Bert, forget his name. But he was the civil rights econ down at the city hall. You remember who he was? Huh? Anybody here remember who he was? Only one person we had down there in power.
Was that Bert Gardner?
What?
Bert Gardner.
Yeah, that's he.
Bert Gardner.
He was president. He was head of the civil rights division.
Bert Gardner.
And because he was willing, we trying to get him to help us. He was kind of helping folks stay in office. But anyway, we wanted to integrate downtown. If you go down there and City Hall now, you see more of the black folks. When I came here, it was Italians. The Irish had their day and the Italians, so it was time for black folks. So Carl Stokes brought us together, and a monumental victory in 67. We took over this town. That was because of the SCLC and the influence that Martin Luther King, the resources that he had, he brought into the city. And therefore, we started helping black folk. We started changing City Hall, and as a consequence, down through the years, that coalition has been responsible for much of what has transpired. Now, let me go back to March 23rd, 1965. As you know, Martin Luther King came to this town and walked on 105. There were 6,000 people in that march. 6,000 people. We marched down 105 and we went to the Corey Methodist Church. There were 3,000 people inside the Corey Methodist Church. And Dr. King and I were sitting in the pulpit of Euclid Avenue Church, and he said, Dr. Cabinet, would you mind opening your church so that we can accommodate the 3,000 folks that are outside? Within minutes, there were 1,200 people in our church. So we had 3,000 folk on the outside, 1,200 at Great Avenue, and 3,000 at the court. That's the kind of momentum we had during that time. That's the kind of interest we had at that time. That was the kind of togetherness we had at that time. And we haven't seen that since. Trump's going to bring us back together. But since that time, SCLC has been here for you. And we make it our business to try to coalesce with all of our organizations so that we can make sure that black folks have the progress that they need. Now in the midst of the worst time that we've ever had, we have a dictator, a king, we have a bigot, we have a racist, we have a bigoted, narcissistic, selfish, want to be white supremacist, a convicted fellow. If Obama had done one scintilla of this, he'd be understood. But because he's black, and because this man is a white supremacist, if you don't believe it, check him out. This man is paying white South Africans to come to America. Paying white South Africans to come to America because he said the black folks mistreat them. He's paying to bring them here while he's shipping black and brown folks out. Yeah. We're living under a Gestapo. We're living under, well, the Supreme Court is complicit in all of this. Republicans have a House of Representatives and a perfect speaker. Y'all didn't hear that? A perfect speaker. Johnson is a white supremacist from Louisiana. I was born in Texas, 44 miles from Louisiana border. But that man is insensitive about it. He will not have a meeting to protect the Jeffrey Epstein files that makes this convicted felon, what do you call the guy who hurts young folks, rapes young women? Pedophile. That's what it is. This man is a complicit part of pedophilia. He's a complicit part of racism. He want to shoot black folks out there and bring white folks in. I'm just telling you that. Martin Luther King stood up for us, took a bullet for you and I. If he never done anything else, he's already done enough. He died that you and I might have the right to not only economic power, but civil rights power and voting rights power. So Martin said, you can do your part. That means you must register and make sure you vote. If we don't vote this administration out, black folk will go back to almost slavery. We've almost lost 60 or 70 years. All of the rights we worked for are gone. And believe me, the Supreme Court is going to rule the Louisiana situation as legitimate, which means they've gutted the civil rights bill. So we've got to work to get the young civil rights bill back up. That means that we've got to get this clown out of office, and we've got to start all over again to restore our rights. Otherwise, our children will enjoy less rights than we have. Thank you.
At this point, I would like to recognize, do we have any elected officials in the room? Any elected officials in the room, please stand if you're recognized. Let's give her a round of applause. So we're going to move on to the next step. You see, I'm trying to break it up every time we get to put something in the middle of that. So, our next guest is Dr. Marcia McCoy, President of the National Action Network.
Bishop Cabanis is our board chair. 97 years old. He's the CEO, the president, and the board chair of SCLC. National Action Network, I want you all to stand and thank you so much for being in attendance. Thank you. National Action Network is one of the leading civil rights organizations in the nation. And we have over 100 chapters throughout the United States, and we have a chapter in England. We were founded in 1991 by Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, and we work within the tradition and the spirit of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. And that's why we're joined at the HIP, National Action Network, and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Now, I know I only have a few minutes, but I simply want to let you know some of the things that our mission is no justice, no peace. And say it with me, no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. So we deal with criminal justice reform, police accountability. We have a crisis and victim division. We deal with voting rights. And on that voting rights issue, Bishop Cabanis just told you about voting rights, right? Yes. So I want to yield my time to our chaplain to tell us about these voting rights that, come on, chaplain, talk about it right quick. Get the mic, baby.
Once upon a time, long before I was born, our ancestors traditions were gathered in toys.
Get the mic.
Get the mic, baby. That's like going right here. Once upon a time, long before, our ancestors' visions were shattered and torn. They had goals, desires, hopes, and dreams, but they were taken away from vicious people who were mean. They were once kings and queens who ruled on the throne, but when they transgressed from God, that's when all things went wrong. They were taken away to a far distant land. To be stripped of their divinity was the enemy's master plan. From the river of the Nile to the valley of death, they stayed prayed up through each and every step. If they tried to read, if they tried to write, a decree was made that will cost them their life. The enemy tried to break their spirit, you see, so they beat them, they burned them and lynched them from a tree. Although it was horrific to see such a sight, they united together and decided to fight. And because life was hell for them, and it was hard to cope, I honor our ancestors every time I go and vote. So if you ask me why I go and vote when I do, I made a promise to our ancestors. What about you? That God, brother Christ, never told you not to vote, but since religion told you not to, some of you won't go. People fought, marched, and bled. People died so we can vote. And when you don't show up at the polls, you help destroy future's hope. But when it's time to collect from civil rights because of votes, I wonder if you stay healthy and look. I bet you don't. So if you ask me why I go and vote when I do, I made a promise to our ancestors. What about you? Now, on the day you cast that ballot, on the day you go and vote, we no longer have to guess how many bubbles and some soap. So I stand up and I speak out what I see injustice done. And to turn and look the other way, no, I'm not the one. So to those of you who do go vote, I salute you, kings and queens, because I too am a product of our ancestors' dreams. And when future generations look to see what you have done, will they proudly say you voted for them, or did you tuck your tail and run? So thank you, ancestors, for voting for me. And today, right now, I make this decree. As long as I breathe, and as long as I live, will I go when it's time to vote? Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Yes, I definitely will. So if you ask me why I go vote when I do, I made a promise to our ancestors. What about you? I vote.
One of our major things that we do is we engage our youth and our young adults. Because it's always, always, always growing when you have youth and young adults with your organization. So it's a must. I applaud the young people that are in the office that are here today. And I applaud you for taking your time to help Billy Sharp do what he does. And I want to give a special shout out to one of my young folk over there in the corner. And she's Dr. Corner's grandbaby. She's all of our baby. Logan, we love Logan. So I'm going to hold on, Bishop. Our board chair has something.
On Friday afternoon at 3:45, Al Sharpton is on the and at 1 to 3:50. At 3:45, he turned the mic over to Marcia and I, and we closed the show out. I want you to know that Al Sharpton's movement emanated out of SCLC, and he adheres to the tenets and principles of the SCLC philosophy, nonviolent confrontation. And so we work together as a team. Dr. McCoy and I work together as a team to make sure that we have an impact upon the totality of society. So if you listen from Friday 3:45 to Monday morning, you will hear us on the radio with him.
Thank you for the shout out. And I yield my time.
Thank you very much. So, so I want to highlight, before I introduce our next guest, what I highlight in the room is a legend. I want him to stand up. Art McCoy. And by the way, his show follows on Sunday. His show follows Al Sharpton's show, 1490 WRE, the Art McCoy Country Music Conference radio show. All right. So I really wanted to shake it up with our next guest. I'm proud to have him on the panel. Chairman Fahim from Euclid Avenue.
Peace, family. How y'all doing today? There was a question that Mr. Billy Sharp asked y'all, and he asked for those to raise their hands that feel powerless. And so, for those that feel powerful, I want y'all to do me a favor and raise your hand as well. If you feel powerful, raise your hand. And I got a question I want to ask y'all how y'all feel, and it's called a response, and the response is powerful. How y'all feel? How y'all feel? How y'all feel? And for my black people, my people of the diaspora, I'm going to ask y'all what kind of power y'all got. Y'all already know the answers to that. What kind of power y'all got? What kind of power y'all got? Thank y'all. I am Chairman Fahim from New York, Cleveland. I want to thank Mr. Sharp and as well as all of the icons that I have the pleasure of sharing the stage with today. It is the shoulders of these great elders that I stand on. And I'm here today for us to have an uncomfortable conversation. It is essential that we have this conversation. It is pivotal for our very survival, for these future generations, these babies that we see here today, that we have this uncomfortable conversation. And I love when we talk about Malcolm and Martin and George Forbes and all the others that came before us. But what we also have to realize is that at some point in time, during this transition, a link in the chain was broken. And we never acknowledge that. Right? There's never a passing of the baton to the next generation. Right? And so when we look at our communities, that is a direct reflection of that. It is a failure of leadership. You cannot call yourself a leader if you have not prepared the next generation. Right? And so with that being said, I'll dive into who I am and what we do. I was born and raised on the southeast side of Cleveland, Buckeye, Woodland, Mount Pleasant neighborhood. All the social determinants of health, I had to navigate that growing up in my community, right? Gun violence, poverty, health and disparities, drugs, like human trafficking, all these things that I saw every day growing up in my neighborhood. And I always wondered, like, is it like this everywhere? Like, is this what the world is supposed to be? Like, are we supposed to walk past teddy bears and these makeshift memorials that we see in our communities? I was like, man, this isn't normal. And I realized that at like 7, 8 years old, I was like, this is not supposed to be like this. Where are the places that I see in movies? Where are the places that I read about in books where life seems abundant and people are dreaming and imagining and chasing their dreams and goals? And so I was like, I need that in my neighborhood. And so I believe that this was divine. I was searching through, my parents used to have a collection of VHS tapes in a cabinet. I mean, like hundreds of them. And I'm making my way to the back, I'm knocking the dust off of some of these movies, and I found a movie back there called The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. I think this movie was produced in 1996. And I popped this movie in the VHS player. At the time, I'm 8 or 9 years old. And the same level of admiration or excitement or enthusiasm that children would have about Spider-Man, Power Rangers, or Superman, I felt that when I watched that movie. And it started with these brothers doing something so simple. There was an intersection in the neighborhood where there was no light, no stop sign, no crosswalk, and kids were getting hit. Kids riding their bikes were getting hit by cars, speeding through the neighborhood. And so these brothers became the crossing guards. These brothers became the stoplight. And to me, that was so empowering. Because a lot of times we complain about our conditions, but nobody's going to do something about it. So while I do agree, we must vote. We must also be conscious where we spend our dollars. But there is also footwork that we have to do every day when we wake up. And we have a certain negligence that we all, as individuals and as a collective, have to hold ourselves accountable for. On your way to that vote booth, you may see a kid outside the gas station and you look the other way. You may see a young girl who's possibly being sex trafficked and you look the other way on your way to go vote. Right? And so, to me, it's so much deeper, it's so much complex, but yet it's so basic. We're talking about humanity, basic humanity. Seeing each other with a certain dignity and respect. Even myself, I'm going to be completely honest, we're here for an uncomfortable conversation. A lot of times when someone that looks like me, walking these spaces, young black man, locks, tattoos, he got a hoodie on and some joggers, and brother ain't got on no suit, folks look at me and automatically assume and put me in a certain category until I start to speak. In that in itself is a lesson learned. We discard some of our young people. Let me tell y'all, I facilitate programs at the Juvenile State Prison, College Hills, and at the Juvenile Detention Center. Some of the brightest young people are locked up.
Say that, say that, say that.
Something happened to them.
Yes, yes.
Something happened to them on our watch. On our watch. These are children, right? When have children been solely responsible for the daily operations of our village? That has never been the standard in our communities. That has never been the standard. And to be honest, I had no agenda, no specific agenda. I was going to get up here and speak about it. I didn't have any particular framework. All I did was ask God just to allow me to be a vessel for His message. So we got work to do. Every last person in this room. And we have no room to make excuses. We have no room to make excuses. And we cannot be afraid. And I think that is the common denominator when it comes to our people. Is fear. Fear-mongering. And we allow ourselves to fall victim to our fear, our imagination. When it comes to our people, I think about the ancestors that made sacrifices for all of us sitting in this room today, that they knew they would never meet us. They knew they would never reap the benefits. But they said, I'm still moving forward anyways. I'm going to plant a seed to grow a tree from which I will never reap the benefits of its shade. That is the ultimate sacrifice. And so I got 3 minutes left, but I'm going to be very quick with this. Some of our priorities, I lost track of what we're here to do, right? So we have a community center on 117th and Buckeye, 11713. It's called the Love Project Movement Community Clubhouse. This is a hub, and we modeled this framework from people like Miss Jan and Garden Valley Neighborhood House. Because I got 8 churches in my neighborhood. 8 churches. I got 1 funeral home. I got 5 smoke shops and a liquor store in my neighborhood, and 2 schools, right? And so I'm gonna be completely honest. The churches are not the foundation of our communities anymore. We've gotten so disconnected, so disconnected. And again, I'm here for us to have an uncomfortable conversation so that we can get to a resolution. Not to point the finger at anybody, but to say we all got work to do. And so, my neighborhood, south side of Cleveland, has the highest concentration of human trafficking. Young girls being sex trafficked right in front of us in broad daylight. I'm proud to say that our organization has found 8 missing children in the last 2.5 years. And it has not been easy. And with that comes situations like we recently had to endure. We had a 15-count felony indictment for chasing a drug dealer out of the neighborhood for selling weed to one of our kids, one of my students in our program. Chase him out the neighborhood because I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do, but I'm going to tell you where you can't do it at. You can't do that over here. Right? Boycotting the gas station that was allowing these car deaths to happen on their property, and children were being shot and they locked the door. Clean the blood up after the crime scene, investigators come in and take out what the yellow tape, and they're back open for business, and we back patronizing them. As that money is leaving our neighborhoods. And so my pushback to them is, if you don't care about the people in the community, you should not own a business here. I can't go to Pepper Pike and open up a business and say I don't care about the safety of the people in the neighborhood. And then I take my money back to Cleveland and that dollar never circulates in their neighborhood. They don't go for that. But we do every day. Whether we go to the hair store, the gas station, rallies, the flower shop, it don't matter where we go. That money never touches back to our neighborhoods. And we do a disservice to ourselves and our people. I'm sorry, how much time am I on?
47 seconds.
Okay. And so what I like to say is I believe that I serve as a reminder to our people of our stolen greatness, that lineage, that legacy that we stand on, those ancestors that burned plantations down on their way to freedom. And I'll say this as well, Black people have never truly experienced freedom in this country. But that day is coming to an end. Thank you.
So you can see why I needed Timothy in this conversation. Because we came here to have a discussion, and a real discussion about us and what we need to do in this moment. Individual responsibility. I've been saying this since the beginning of this conversation. What is my responsibility to advance a local Black agenda? One of those things would be, as Chairman Fahim touched on some of this, I'm in the barbershop. The man comes in with the bag of goodies. He has the detergent I like, the laundry detergent I like for the cheap. If I buy that from him, I am complicit in possibly closing a dollar store, a CVS, a Giant Eagle. Now these are places where our people need to go and get resources. I say this, and this is part of the reason, but all the reason, if you can tell me of a CVS or a Rite Aid from downtown to Shaker Heights. Can you tell me one on the east side of Cleveland? Thank you. All right, so next to all of those were high rises, where seniors live. They can come down out of the high rise, go to that, get their medication. Now there's multiple of reasons why they're closed, but one of them is the fact that we go in there and still, I say we because we the community. Now we don't tell on the person because normally that person lives in the basement or in the attic. What is our individual responsibility in this moment to our neighbor? Or I have a senior that needs medication or food or the stuff out of the dollar store. because we can't do right. That's our individual responsibility, and that's what I meant by we have to have an uncomfortable conversation to get comfortable. What's going on in our households? I interview kids all day. They are coming to these interviews ill-prepared, ill-dressed, ill-prepared. There's no positive way I can put that. If I wasn't on the other side of that table, most of them would not get jobs. What are we doing in the household to train them how to simply come to an interview? I mean, we don't get on how the adults come in the room, but I'm more sensitive to the kids because they just starting out in life. And at this point, I want my 3 young people to stand up and be recognized. Logan, come on, y'all, stand up. Give them a round of applause. These are 3 that work in my McDonald's operation. I mentor them, I bring them along. I want to thank them for coming and volunteering because they volunteer today. They're using their time. I told you had your vote, your money, your time. They're using their time today. At this point, she's going to come around. I need y'all to submit all the comment cards because we're about to get to that portion of the program. So give her all the comment cards, and then Laura and Colin, I need y'all to give those up and get to the microphone. So let me get to our next person, a good friend of mine, Jan Ridgway.
Yes, Jan.
Let's give her a round of applause.
If we don't understand why
There's a quote that President, who's he called his name, that number 40, 45, 46, he says, I am the president. I can do what I want. And the whole thing around 2025, they are trying to take all the power from the Senate, from the House, and put it in the hands of the executive part of government. They are diminishing the people that we have sent to Congress and giving all that power to the President of the United States. We see that. You see that. And I want to tell you about amendment. This is part of a regular magazine that comes out, but this time it's talking about the Constitution. You need to know the Constitution. Even if you don't have it word for word, you need to know those pieces in part that directly impact us. You need to know what impacts us. See, the Constitution was not designed to remain the same. It was designed, that's how we got all the amendments. It was designed to be added to, but it was not designed to be ignored. It was not designed to be ignored, and that's what's happening now. And if we are not alert, if we do not keep our ears to the ground, we will be right back where we were not too long ago. You need to be on, you need to read. You need to talk to each other. You need to listen. You need to march sometimes. You need to protest sometimes. You need to pick up the phone and make a telephone call sometimes. We need to write a letter in support of an issue sometimes. You need to be out here breaking down conspiracy theories. See, because we have the facts. Break those conspiracy theories down. One of the main ones is that the president is planning to eradicate Social Security and Medicare. That is not true. I am not a Trump supporter. But I will tell you, one of the biggest things that he supports is Medicare and Social Security. That's the biggest division in 2025 among his people and himself. He supports Medicare and Social Security. In fact, yesterday they just announced we're going to get a 2.6 or 2.8% increase in Social Security starting January. He does not, but let us say he's against that. We need to be able to discern, to think, to know when somebody is not telling us the truth and when somebody is. And we must be willing to do that, or we will believe everything they're trying to sell us. We gotta fight. We gotta fight. And when you see our history being erased, whether it's from the museum, whether it's from within our own group, we need to pause. We need to pause, and we need to come together in that monolithic group that I introduced when I first came here. And we need to say, how do we move forward? What is the next step? See, I'm not here to litigate the past. I'm not here to litigate what anybody on this stage or in this audience may have done. This is our moment.
That's right.
This is our moment. We have to be ready to take it and make it work for us together.
Thank you. Do me a favor. You put the mic up there. No, right. See on up there. Yeah. You messed up my camera.
I'm so sorry.
I got it.
But no, thank you for that. I want to recognize a few people in the room. Hollywood in the hood in the back. If you can raise your hand, where you at? Terry. And Angela, raise your hand. Is a great community activist. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you for coming. All right, so I want to introduce my next guest. This is our final speaker. Then we're going to get to the question and answer period. They put the comment card together in the back. Mr. Bob Render. Mr. Render, the floor is yours.
Mr. Ward and Dr. Yvonne Pointer, what did I do with Shirley Sharp? We worked on fundraisers for the mayor. We worked on fundraisers for Chantel Brown.
Correct.
And you put me after that. And Marshall, how could I possibly say anything to improve upon what you already said? You couldn't have been heard.
When any man that can keep a bank open, trust me, has a lot to say.
All right.
A few words to say. There's a couple of things you need to look at. April Ryan wrote a book a couple of years ago that said Black women will save the world. You should read that book. Every woman in the history of mankind, the bulwark of it is women of color. The other thing I'd ask you to do is MSNBC just did a documentary on Andy Young. It is breathtaking. The documentary is called Dirty Work. He was asked to do the work that nobody else within SCLC wanted to do, and Dr. King asked him to take on that test. One of the things, I wear a couple of hats. I'm on the Fair Housing Board for the City of Cleveland, the Community Relations Board, and I serve with Minister Muhammad is on that board. I'm a precinct committeeman. But probably the work that I enjoy the most, is difficult, is the street club work. I'm a precinct committee person. It is the dirty work that you do, that you don't get recognized for. Now, probably every organization that's up here, no matter what hat they wear, at the heart of what they do, they're activists. No matter what their title is, they're activists. I live on the street, 128th and Buckeye, and also my precinct, in which the minister is in our precinct. There's a lot of dirty work you have to do that you don't get credit for. I'm an advocate of street clubs, and I'm going to tell you why. Cities of choice. Frank Jackson used to always refer to cities of choice. It's built upon a community and neighborhood, but individual streets. When I moved on 128th Street, there were 97% of the people on that street were owner-occupied. They lived on the street. 30 years fast forward, 75% of the people on 128th Street are owner-occupied. That doesn't exist anywhere within the Buckeye area. You don't understand the power that you have. I think Marcia McCoy tried to underscore that, Reverend Cavanaugh, the power of your vote. If those 6 to 8 million, correct me if I'm wrong, Reverend Cavanaugh, Marcia, if the 6 to 8 million people of color that did not vote in 2016, Trump would have never got elected. These states that have turned red would have remained either blue or purple. Look at the state of Ohio. We haven't had a Democrat in office since Strickland could not get reelected. We have more registered voters, I'm talking about just Democrats, in the state of Ohio than Republicans. We got to encourage them to get out and vote. The vote is powerful. And these white folks understand that. Why do you think they spend hundreds of millions of dollars to discourage you from voting if they didn't know the power of the vote? One of the other things that we've done, here, just an example. This post office on 130th closed. They had no intention to open that post office back up. We joined with Blaine Griffin, Deborah Gray, Sherry Brown, Chantel, a number of them. We couldn't have been more than 15 of us. We were able to get the post office to open that post office. You can't imagine what kind of power you have. What's the adage? The proverb, the spider with unite, you can tie up a line? Yes, you can. The next project we took on, I have counsel at Key Bank and at Huntington. We got the notice that they closed the bank. Okay? Less than 8 of us came together. That was Jimmy Gates, Reverend Jimmy Gates. I'm trying to think of who else. There was Greg Rose, Emmanuel Rose's husband. There was Chip Romley, Mary Boyle. It wasn't more Julian Kahn. It was less than 8 of us got together through Neighborhood Connection, and we worked on this for a year. How often do you see a bank send a notice to you that they close and they go open back up? Well, it was Blaine Griffin took the lead, Bear did, Chantel Brown, Sherrod Brown. That's why we need to vote to get him back in office. There was just 8 of us, and after a year, we worked with that bank for a year, and after a year, they went back to the, it's called the comptroller of currency. They went back to them and they sent a notice out that they were going to take the status of closing permanently, and within a year that bank was opened back up. Never happened. Nobody thought that we could succeed. We did. We stayed together. We prayed together. We fought together. But sometimes we were on the committee. We didn't like one another. But we set that aside. We set it at the door. You've got to sit it at the door. The differences you have with people. And we would, now often if black folks do that, we win. If we pray together, stay together, fight together, work together, you win. Okay? We were able to get that bank back open, which is unheard of. That bank is a $200 billion organization. The other thing we did when Fahim got indicted by the prosecutor, and his what's the other brother's name? Revere. Okay? A handful of us went down there to testify. Everybody else ran away. I went down there. Who else was down there to testify? Tim Tramble of St. Louis Foundation. That's rare. You rarely gonna get somebody in his staff that's gonna testify in a case like Fahim. When I walked in the courtroom, I saw the jury. There was only one black, one Hispanic, or two. One Hispanic. Everybody was white. I went in and said, "Oh my Lord, this brother ain't got a chance." Everybody said, "Okay," but I'm gonna tell you, God is able. What is that song? He specializes in what? Impossible. Things are impossible. Okay? And I said, this thing is stacked up against my hand. I testified, we all testified, about 5 of us. That jury came back and acquitted them on every count. You know, they always tell you that every election is the most significant one in your lifetime. Next year is. And we better figure out how to get up off our rusty dusties and get out here and go vote. Thank you.
So we're going to open up our question and answer period, and one of our panelists has a question for another panelist, so I'm going to give them that opportunity, and then Colin and Laura, if we can get in place, we'll start it up. I want to recognize Pam Mason over there. Raise your hand, Pam Mason. And Reverend Pinky Butt, raise your hand over there. Reverend Pinky Butt. Reverend Catherine.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Reverend Catherine. You have a question.
I think Jan really consummated all of what we've been trying to say up here today. And I would like to ask a question. My idea was somewhere down 2047, America was going to turn into a country where minorities would rule and whites would be in a minority. And I think those white folk were so scared of being dominated by minorities and this country coming to a minority kind of rule that they conspired within themselves that we're going to stop this so the white folk will always be in charge. And so I think all of what Jan is saying is about erasing our history so that we'll appear to be much kinder and nicer. They don't want you to talk about slavery. Trump said ain't what's so bad about it. But I think that trying to erase history, trying to make sure that the Constitution is not help in terms of articulating what needs to be done. That erasure is all about that, Jan. And the other book you had is 2025. 2025 is all about Donald Trump. He lied and said that he didn't know anything about it. Remember? He lied and said, I didn't know anything about it. Right. In fact, he and Miller and all of those guys got together. They wrote a mandate that this country is going to be white again. The man the other day said that Martin Luther King Day is almost need to be dumped in hell. That's what the big president said the other day. They said that black folks should not rule this country, white folks should rule this country. All of this is in your 2025. Trump said he didn't know anything about it, but he's doing exactly what he wants to do in terms of that. So those books are really a testament to what's going on. If we don't wake up, we'll be right back on the door.
Now,
Yeah. Before you do, Ms. Ridgeway, I want you, in this section, you have 2 to 3 minutes to respond to a question. So when we move from this question, we'll go to Colin and Laura. If I call on you, you have 2 to 3 minutes to respond to a question. Go ahead, Ms. Ridgeway.
I just wanted to say that one of the most important things that will be coming up, the next census is 2030.
Yes.
It is so important
21.
that the next census is 2030. It is so important that we respond to that census. And you're right, Reverend Cabinet. The whole idea is that by mid-30s, it will be dominated by black and brown society. So the whole idea is how do we get rid of that? The deportations is a part of that. Look at what's going on. The deportations is part of that. The other thing the president has said, he was not going to allow refugees from certain countries into this country again until he can get the Democrats to come in order. But he just approved 7,500 white African, I mispronounce that all the time, South Africaners to come into this country. That's to increase the numbers of whites in this country while also getting rid of brown and black.
Actually shipping them out.
Yeah, and don't be surprised that we don't end up being the next ones out. He has never said he was not going to deal with American citizens.
But can explain to me how Trump's number doubled since the last, his number was double with black folk. Explain that to me. How black folk keep on being subjected to this kind of stuff, and we are not sensitive to what's going on. Come on, help me.
Okay, so I'm not supposed to talk to you. But I tell you what, I will talk to you afterwards because I do have a comment about that in terms of my research and stuff.
All right, thank you
I'm a
for that,
research
Ms. Ridgeway.
librarian. I'm sorry. I'm going to come back. Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Ridgeway. So we say this portion, you have, if I call you have 2 to 3 minutes to respond to a question. So I'm gonna go to Colin Jackson, who is the president of the YPs of the Urban and Greater Cleveland.
I want to thank our esteemed panelists, all of them. I definitely want to thank the chairman for being here. You speak for a lot of us. For you, it was that videotape. For me, it was that first time seeing you with DC. That was a big moment for me. But I also want to thank my CEO and also Will for being here. It's important to have your organization involved in this conversation. So, first question is, can we RNEC the blighted properties and kind of the dismantling of East Cleveland has been done to some extent on purpose. What do your organization see as their role in the resurgence of EC that's going to come in the near future here?
All right, I'm going to ask Will and CEO Mockaby to take that question. So I started with CEO Mockaby, so I'm going to let Will go first and then CEO Mockaby.
Let me make sure I understand the question, Counselor. Yes.
So East Cleveland,
yes.
And all the things that are going on with the city and with the state coming in, what role do you see in your organization in participating in what's about to happen in EC? East Cleveland, sorry.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot to unpack in just that one question. Okay, there's a lot to unpack because there's issues about housing, conversations about economic development, investment. There's a lot of conversation about local control, that's going on as well. And so I think it really depends on what aspect of the issue you'd like to focus on in terms of how the organization responds to those issues. And I think that's part of the issue that I think is really difficult, I think sometimes, is that some of these conversations involve multifaceted issues, right? So it's not just business, it's not just investment, it's also infrastructure, it's education, it's housing, there's multiple intersections. So really, in my opinion, I think it depends on what the topic of the conversation is in terms of like what the future should be. And I think the focus honestly is community. I think like what is the community saying, what is the community saying and feeling, and I think that's very, very important, is to center the voices of individuals who are impacted by those issues. So I think that's a big part of it, but I think just understanding what you want to focus on is how the organization can figure out how we respond, because there's various ways that we respond. So yes, sorry, it's not a clear answer.
No, it's good. It's good.
All right, CEO Martin.
So I want to start here. In 1973, my husband and I moved into Cleveland Heights, and we were redlined because we didn't know that we were also in the East Cleveland school system. And so, you know, what we said, and it was a beautiful neighborhood at that time. East Cleveland was robust, the houses were beautiful, but what we also had was we had investment in East Cleveland. We had Huron Hospital. We had Nela Park. We had robust offerings and robust stores and opportunities, you know, of acceptance. As those investments began to wane and the power of the dollar was no longer in East Cleveland, you also saw the same thing that Bob talked about in terms of, instead of home ownership, which had been rich and a source of pride in East Cleveland, began to turn over. And renters began to take place. And I'm not, no shame or, you know, disparagement on renters. But when you have the highest number of people living in a community who are not owner investors, it takes a different turn. And there's a way to even work with those who don't own to get them to behave as owners, right? So those are some of the things that we have to pay attention to. And the first thing we have to start with is a vision for East Cleveland. What is the vision that the East Cleveland residents and community want to restore or even reimagine what East Cleveland looks like? Because until the community members say what they want, none of our organizations can really help, because our alignment has to be to the vision of the people. And that's how we can help, is to know what the vision, and even be at the table and be a part of that process.
Yeah, I just want to double back. I know that you are often called to these tables for these conversations early. So I think it's important that you all are in communication with Marsha and Will, and letting them know what you think, because your voice can be heard through them.
All right, thank you. Reverend Catley.
The population of East Cleveland is 13,352. And I think only 700 people.
Correct.
About 700 people, yeah, Mark. 700 out of 13,000. You ain't gonna never get nothing until you stand up and start voting in this city. If you're not involved to save yourself, the answer is you're gonna save yourself, you're gonna be lost. Ain't no carrier gonna come for us, we're gonna have to do it ourselves. So all these folks, out of 13,000, you're gonna get 7 voting. That's pitiful. And
Thank you, Reverend
you
Catley.
can't get around home ownership. You're right on it. You got to own.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
ownership.
Thank you.
We just talking. Yeah.
Wait a minute. We got it. Hold on. All right, so now I'm going to go to the opposite side of the room to get another question. Laura.
Thank you. Question. Many black residents are struggling with property taxes, cost of living, social economic issues. Are you aware of these issues, and what plans do you have to address these issues immediately?
All right. So, Reverend Catley, we got you fired up.
I'm just talking about Bob Brennan and I just got in a heated conversation. They want to bring red light cameras back down in Cleveland. And Art McCoy and all of us, we fought like hell to make sure that they got these cameras out of here, because they wasn't doing anything but draining black folks and taking their money. So we had to stop that. So your question is, make sure, what is it again?
Many blacks are they're struggling with property taxes issues and socioeconomic issues.
Black
What's the
people are
plan?
struggling to pay taxes, the delinquency is high, we're in a dire situation. Until we start standing up and voting ourselves and making sure that we are responsible for ourselves, we're not going to have anything.
All right. Thank you, Reverend Kevin. All right. Go ahead, Bill. Go ahead.
All right, so immediately, here's the question. So there's a few things at play here when it talks about property taxes. First is the high rate of property taxes and the way things have gone up so far, right? And so the question becomes, well, first off, how do you bring relief to individuals who need it? And one of those things is awareness about programs that can help with that. So the county has a pilot program that is geared towards older adults that will offer up to $10,000 in cash assistance to help with the impact of inflation for those who are delinquent on their property taxes as a result of higher costs. And so that's a program that the county is piloting based on research in a paper that I helped to write. So this is something that I believe can be used as a model for other counties to follow as well across the state. And so I would encourage the person who wrote that question to research that issue at the property.
I wrote that question, and the money
Yes.
is not enough.
Oh, yes.
Okay, I looked at this. I'm glad that you did a study.
Yes, ma'am.
If you look at the actual numbers, it is not enough because Black citizens are going to be disproportionately impacted by this because they're at the bottom of the socioeconomic class structure already. So I would implore you all to use your power because people are going to lose their homes. I walked the world, and during my campaign, I spoke to senior citizens. They're about to lose their homes, and when you lose their homes and senior citizens, you lose your neighborhoods too.
And I appreciate that, and thank you so much for raising awareness about that. I also want to raise awareness about something else too. There is conversations about trying to get rid of property taxes altogether. And when you think about the impact of that decision, right? Think about where the property taxes go. That goes to public schools, that goes to health and human services, that's metro parks, the library, Tri-C. Public library has 2 levies. Tri-C has 3 levies. So Department of Developmental Disabilities also has property taxes that are funded by those things. Do you think about the impact of decisions like that on our social services safety net for the people who are most vulnerable in our communities is also a high concern when it talks about getting rid of property taxes altogether. So I think that that's one of the things that we need to be mindful of is where those dollars go. Hold on, I'm sorry. I don't want to get into a debate.
I'm not supporting an end to property.
Oh, no. I'm
The
sorry.
solution, obviously, is a progressive income tax, so billionaires are paying their fair share, and our corporations are paying their fair share.
I appreciate that. I want our community to be informed about what they see and what they're reading. So when we see a proposal about trying to get rid of property taxes, to also be mindful of what impact that could do that would undercut our community fabric. So that's all I want to do is to inform our community. So thank you.
Thank you. Carol Wanda from the spot, real quick. You have a comment? If it's in regards to property tax.
I was listening to what the gentleman was saying.
And here,
I was listening to what the gentleman was saying, and sometimes some policies that seem to help the community seems to undercut the intent of the community, and a lot of times we've made policies the two of the better evil instead of just what's good for the community. And so that's my observation. How do we address that? Because I see that as one of the biggest problems, right? We have so many levels to this, and they all are not aligning, not because of the different levels. You know, you have the higher level, the middle, and then the end, and they don't work together. And, you know, and their interests are different, right? And so how do we work with all of those different levels and still deal with us? Because until we heal us as a people, I think
Thank you. Thank you. You got like a couple seconds to respond to that. Keep the time. A couple seconds.
Okay, I'll just say education about these policy issues is critical. As advocates, one of the phrases I can't stand here is, I wish someone had told me. So what can we do to get information out? I want to share a quick thing about cannabis. Remember 2 years ago, we legalized cannabis as a state. The way the voters voted for that revenue to be distributed, 36% would go to what's called the Social Equity and Jobs Fund. This would fund the Social Equity and Jobs Program. This would go to communities that were disproportionately impacted by marijuana over the years. Black and brown communities across the state, low interest loans, job trainings, new money, new hundreds, millions of dollars into our community. Another 36% would go towards the local community fund for municipalities that legalize cannabis. 25% would go towards drug addiction and mental health, and 3% towards administration. There was a proposal that would scrap all of that at the state level and put that money towards jail construction and jail renovation, police training, police continuing education, drug task force, and away with what the voters had intended. NACP went down to the state and we fought against that. We said that's not what the voters had intended. So what ended up happening in the end was that 36% that goes towards the local community funds, that stayed there, but the rest of the money went towards the general fund. So it wasn't exactly what we had pushed for, but it stopped what could have been. That's an example where as voters and advocates for our community, we talk about the impact of these new monies and disinvestment in our community. How are we respecting the will of the voters in that case, right? What can organizations like ours do to help elevate what the voters had intended to do and the impact of new revenues on our community? So that's an example of what you're talking about, where bringing together awareness about the policy implications with the impact on our communities as organizations and as advocates, that's exactly what we need to do.
All right, so I'm gonna be respectful of the panel. I'm gonna let y'all know this. We only gonna get to a couple more questions. I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna go there. So we ain't gonna get as many questions as we thought, but everybody wanna comment. Go ahead. Hold on, y'all. I got a young lady over there that's keeping time. Can y'all respect? Come on.
All right, approximately 41,522 homeowners in Collier County were delinquent in their taxes. About 7% of all homeowners, those are black folks. White folks can pay their bills because they got all the money in the world. This led to nearly 76 million unpaid taxes. The delinquency rate has been increased due to higher property taxes resulting from a county-wide reappraisal that shocked all of us and increased home value. If you think they're going to do away with property taxes, I got some swamp man to tell you. They're going to keep that. They ain't going to never deal with taking these white folk economic money. They're going to keep it for property, and we're losing our property because I'm telling you, we're not voting.
Right. All right, Mr. Render at the end. And then I'll get to the next question.
Back to that question on.
You can hold the microphone. You can hold it.
Dr. Cameron's hit the nail on the head. We seldom disagree on anything, but we disagree on Cameron. But he hit the nail on the head. 700 people out of 13,000 voted. Don't think public officials in Columbus don't look at that and say we can do anything we want to do.
Absolutely.
Because they don't vote.
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm going to Colin. Go ahead, Colin.
All right. This question is for those of us, or for the organizations up here who work with the youth. And I think Chairman Finney should answer this. Fewer advanced courses are being offered in our black high schools, and that's impacting what colleges are looking for, like math and science classes, like AP or honors classes. What are your organizations doing to either supplement or support providing those type of opportunities in our school?
So hold on, before you answer, Timothy, I'm going to give that to you and CEO Mike on that. Okay, go ahead, Timothy.
Thank you. So there's a young man that graduated from my first Rites of Passage program. His name is Omar Askew, and he was able to go to Case Western University to get some of those additional courses to have access to certain scholarships.
Yep.
And so that's one route. And then secondly, changing oil, fixing the town. Like these were like some of these things, these skills, these trades we picked up in the neighborhood, we picked up in the community. And one thing that we're doing at the Love Project Movement Community Clubhouse is we're ensuring that we got the resources, we're ensuring that we got the equipment for our young people to tap into their creativity. That's where a lot of my passion and my focus lies, is while the curriculum, the educational curriculum and things of that nature may be what it is, but my focus is helping these kids tap into their purpose, right? Because a degree won't necessarily help you define or provide clarity for why you put here on this earth. So what is it that you will wake up and do every day and find joy in, and also allowing that to be a resource that benefits your community as well. So thank you.
All right. See you on that.
So the Urban League has two programs. One, My Brother's Keeper, which was founded by President Obama during his administration. And it is primarily for young men of color. And then we also have a program for young ladies called Project Unbreakable for the young ladies. And in our summer components, because we work with young people in the schools during the school day, where we have our own classrooms, and we have time during the school day to work with youth development activities with our young people that are very much like our brother Fahim talked about. But in the summer, we're on Case's campus, we're on John Carroll's campus. We pay stipends to our students so that they don't have to have a competition between going to a job for the summer necessarily, and they can come and get academic enrichment. We have relationships with Tri-C and other colleges, as was talked about, so that we can help young people gain college credit while they're still in high school. We have a number of young people who have gone into higher education, if that's the direction they want to go, okay? Where they can go in already with so many credits that they may have an associate's degree level by the time they graduate from high school. So those are things that we're able to do with our young people, and we take young people to historically black colleges on college tours, okay?
Let's give a round of applause for that HBCU tour. So we're coming back on this side to North Avenue.
Just 1 minute. I want to chance 1 minute. President Obama, during his first term, pushed college. During his second term, he pushed trades. Everybody isn't designed to go to college. Now, a lot of people in the trades make way more money than go to college. What we need to do is to push the trades for those who are not college inclined or college ready. Let's push the trades. We got over 100 people in the construction trade unions at Garden Valley. We graduated 111 people in home health care, certified. We put them where they could make a living for themselves. And it's not always college. I can say that I have a master's degree, but I would say that.
That's right.
Dr. McCoy, go ahead.
I want to also announce there were 68% of 9th grade students dropping out of high school. Senator C.J. Prentice created a program called Closing the Achievement Gap Initiative. We were able to not only graduate 98% of those 9th grade students that were dropping out, but they also went to college, to HBCUs. But I want to commend the Southern Christian Leadership Conference because they were able to give them scholarships to go to Morehouse and any other college they wanted to go to. So, touche to Senator C.J. Prentice.
Thank you. Thank you. North Avenue, go ahead.
All right, so next question says, I'll direct this myself, the Reverend Cabbage. Listen, Reverend, they want to know what happened to our black leaders. You were around with Malcolm X, you were around with Martin Luther King and others. Where are our black leaders? What happened to them?
We've always been accountable, as he has said. we're responsible for our community. And if you, wherever you are situated, you are responsible to do something for someone else. We talk the first black, we ought to make sure that we're not the first and not the last. We ought to look back and take somebody with us. We've been in the past, we always mentored, we always had young people so that we were leading and we were teaching them so that they will learn. We're not going to stay always, all of us. You remember in Latin they say you die. So there must be teaching, there must be some information imparted to our young people so that they will grow up to be the leaders that we are. I don't know what has happened to leadership today. Something has happened. People are more concerned about themselves than they are the community. It takes a village to raise a child, and we must be together and making sure that all of us, you are a leader, every one of us is a leader. We're responsible for our families, we're responsible for taking the message out there and doing something with it.
Thank you for asking that question. That was my question. This is my third time running for the mayor.
Have a seat. I told you from the beginning before you go do that. Have a seat. I told you you weren't going to do that. Have a seat. I told you you weren't going to do that. I told you we're not going to do that. Have a seat, please.
We have a round two coming up.
Have a seat. Have a seat, please.
Be available
Have a
for
seat.
round two.
Have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat. Thank you. So again, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to keep it respectful. This was not an opportunity to self-aggrandize. We asked the guests to come in and answer our questions, and that's the way we're going to move. Okay?
You said we were
No. What I just say. What did I just say? Now, if your question was to the question of whether I'm leading separately, not to say I'm running for mayor.
No.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to move on. So we got Reverend Cabinet, Brother Payne, go ahead.
Briefly, if I could just add to that. Think about the manner in which a lot of our leaders lost their life, and some of them had to pay the ultimate sacrifice. That wasn't just solely about them, but it also sent a message to the next generation that choose that they want to step up and walk in that path. A man like Martin Luther King that preached nonviolence lost his life in the most violent manner. That was to send a message to the next Martin Luther King. Thank you.
What about my
So listen, come on. I have a comment from our young lady here. Can you take her microphone, please? Come on, Lovely. What's the comment? Now, I know we got time to hear from David.
Okay, I just wanted to say, first I want to touch on the last question. A lot of high schools in the CMSD district do not offer CPP courses. They do not offer college credit courses. So that's college credit courses. So they don't offer them. And I'm one of those students who would like to take them. So I'm in advanced classes, of course, but advanced doesn't really do anything for you. You're just learning the curriculum faster than you would in the standard class. So we actually just had a meeting about this, but it was just, I really think that when you guys talk about how you guys take students and you take them, I don't think many of our African American students are ready for college. Am I one of those kids who are ready? Yes, because I have my grandmother and my mother. But I had to do it on my own. I had to go and I had to research, and I've been doing it since freshman year. And then even then with College Now and Say Yes, some of those scholarships are going away because the government shut down. As of right now, our FAFSA is not guaranteed. And even if we were to apply, we couldn't even receive half of the money that we can get. So, that's my first question. Statement. And then the second one was, where are the leaders? I feel like most of us are not motivated to hear from you. And that's just how I feel as a student of the community. Most of us do not want to listen because we don't feel like, even if we do talk, our voice is not going to be heard. Even if we do speak out, our voice is not going to be heard. Even as a student ambassador and someone who does have a voice, and I can speak for younger audiences, it doesn't truly get anywhere unless an adult says it, unless it's someone who has been out and about. But I know a lot of people feel a certain kind of way, and even then, we have a lot of programs for young African American students, but we don't know about them. They're not promoted enough. With you, I would have loved to have been in your program, but I didn't know about it. I would have loved to went on a college tour, but I didn't know about it. I don't think it's promoted enough at all. And then even with, we used to have rec centers. Most people who carry guns are outside of the rec centers carrying them. So there is no safe space for a community. There is no safe space for a teenager. Even the Boys and Girls Club, you cannot tell me how many members are in there right now. Even after school, when people are running track and playing sports. Some of them quit because they don't have another choice. Some of them have to take care of families. They're having families now as children. I know a girl who was in my class and just had a kid. So she has to go to work, go to school, do this, do that. I don't think there's enough programs that are offered for small families, or even we don't know about them if there are.
So I'm really glad that Logan had the courage to speak, and I hope everybody heard what she said when she said that young people don't feel heard. Young people don't feel heard because too often, and we talked about this in our private meeting, too often we come up with programs for constituency and we don't go talk to them first. So we go out and raise the money, we construct the program, we launch the program, and 5 people show up. Why? Because we didn't go and talk to the people that we were supposed to talk to. So that's why I had young people come to this conversation, because we need to hear from them. Thank you again. So I'm going to go to the opposite side of this question.
I'm assuming this is going to be my last question.
Yes, sir.
All right. For everyone up here, if your organization does offer services, please let everyone know if they need to be a member of your organization to receive those services, and briefly list what those services are.
Hold on. Can I save them for closing comment?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can we address it in closing comment? Or you want to address it now? Because what would your closing comment be to the service that you have? So I want everybody to address that in the closing comment. All right. So right now I'm going to bring where's it? Obi Sheldon. Obi Sheldon, come on up.
Where's the violin?
No.
Yes,
Good.
yes.
Hello, everyone. I did not bring the violin today. I just wanted to update you because probably some of you know that I'm the executive director of the African American Cultural Garden. By a show of hands, how many people here know where the African American Cultural Garden is? Okay, that's most of us. Very good. If you know that it is along Martin Luther King Drive, right at the St. Clair exit. You also know that if you are driving along there are all kinds of other gardens that represent dozens of ethnicities that have settled in Cleveland and have been successful, like the Italians, the Irish, the Indians, the Hebrews. All of them have gardens that they have developed, and you, like me, have for years said, well, why don't we go and finish our garden, right? Because if you go along, if you raise your hand, you know that there was a flag that is at the bottom of the red, black and green flag waving there, but you have to go way up the hill to see what has been built. 10 years ago. That's beautiful up there. It represents our passage into America with the door and one turn. But for the last ever since 2015, we've been trying to build the part that you would see down low. I can tell you today that we are very close to doing that. In fact, we are going to be breaking ground probably in the next 30 to 60 days. People ask me, when are you going to get started? Now, we had to adjust some of the plans because things have gotten so expensive because of tariffs. Some of the equipment, some of the materials we were going to use had to be imported from China and from India. If you've been following the news, you know what happens with China and India. There's all kinds of tariffs. We're having a trade war with them. The cost was just astronomical. So if you can pick up a card like this on the way out, you'll see what our plan is now. Instead of, if you have been seeing the images that are beside the garden, like they say, let's finish it, right? That was kind of the slogan that I brought. There was a plan for a big, triangular, black water fountain where stuff would cascade down. That just got too expensive. We would have to raise money for the next 20, 30, maybe 40 years, and then the cost kept going higher. So Dan Bickerstaff, our architect, came up with this brilliant plan where we stepped down. You'll see this if you pick up a car. from the door of no return, there's a step down, like it's steps down in degrees, so that you could have chairs or you could have a table on those step down. Now, the center of the garden is going to still be this 50 by 50 terrace, which is going to be a platform where you can have weddings. You can see 350 people there on that terrace. On that terrace, there's going to be the little image of the Little Dipper and the North Star, which is, of course, what people followed our ancestors from the south to the north for opportunity. And so, my parents came here for opportunity, and now I'm a member of the community, and you can say the same thing. So I can tell you that we're going to be breaking ground soon, and we're working on a lot of the details on it. But I came to many, we certainly will need members to sustain it. We have an endowment fund with the Euclid Foundation, but we also are going to need members to sustain it. Every year we have to, clean it. We have to make sure we polish the terrace so that it looks good. But the main thing I wanted to convey to you today, that it's coming soon, and look for it. It's going to be our place to gather with all of our different perspectives. We can gather and say, all right, this is where we meet to reinforce our history, our legacy, celebrate it, and be a part of our community. So that's what I wanted to say. Let's do another round of applause. I want some good news in the conversation somewhere. I want some good news in the conversation somewhere. So I'm going to take this time to do something that needed to be done, I think now about a year ago. CEO Lockerbie and Dr. Marcia McCoy were on a team. Back in, what year was that? We had the 2020. And we had to fight with the census to get African American and people of color the high paying job. And CEO Lockerbie led us in the charge to meet with the head of the census. And we met in the room and sort of, excuse my language, sort of banged it out, and we got it done. So McDonald's had recognized them in the McDonald's honor corner at Grandparents and Family Day, and I never, because of the supply chain, I never got to give them their plaque. But I have their plaque today. So CEO Lockerbie and Dr. Marcia McCoy can come up real quick. Go ahead and be seated. See, that's what was poured into me. That's what was poured into me. I was the president of the guild at the time, and they wrapped their arms around me and sort of let me lead that charge. And if you remember that year, we were going through the pandemic, we had an election that was going bad, and we had the 2020 census. And these organizations, including the NAACP, we had a different president at the time, but we all led that charge together to make sure that it turned out right for our community. So we're going to go into...
That didn't turn out right for our community. So don't say that turned out right for our community. The 2020 census turned out horrible.
But you got to listen to what I'm saying. In realms of what we did, in regards to making sure that black people got the higher money, that's what I mean. I don't mean the overall results. Yes, it was a select few of those who applied. But my point is, we went through the battle to get that done. If we had not, we would have stayed with the lower jobs and not the higher jobs. That's what I'm speaking to.
The 2020 census, the black community suffered.
I'm not arguing that.
How many people, raise your hand if they knocked on your door and asked how many people live in New York?
to get the, leadership positions, to get the finances that other ethnics.
I did the census. I was the #1 census taker in Cleveland. I was sent almost to rural Alabama because I was able to get the information. We have Black people as managers going up to doors and saying, how many people live here? Didn't count the demographics that you needed. So that's just not true.
So hold on. So hold on, wait a minute. I need y'all to listen to what we were saying. At that time, they didn't even have the office open. They were not giving the high-paid jobs to African Americans. We knew that for a fact because we got the data. I'm talking about in the city of Cleveland. I'm not talking about in another state. I'm talking about in the city of Cleveland.
I'm talking about in the city of Cleveland as well. It was poorly done. Whoever did it, I don't care if it was Marvin Gaye.
Okay.
We suffered behind it.
All right. I'm not arguing this. All right, thank you. All right, so now we'll go to the closing argument. We're going to start with Bob Rinder at Lincoln. Mr. Rinder.
Your services, your closing and services.
Closing remarks. Fill out the census and go register to vote. I can't say enough about, because we lose tens of millions of dollars that would normally go to our cities because we don't fill out the census. The other project I worked on was Carl Burton's Carl's headstone at Lakeview Cemetery, so we're working on that project to change all that and create a memorial plaza in honor of Carl.
Thank you, Mr. Rinder.
We are in a time where politics rule over policy. And we need to be cognizant of that because we need to be concerned about policy, not politics. I would echo Mr. Rinder, we must vote. There are 5 issues I want you to think about. 1, check the voter polls. Make sure you're on. Make sure your information is correct so your vote will not be questioned. Number 2, do not support the discontinuation of mail-in voting. Write your Congress people, call them. They're trying to stop mail-in voting. Number 3, we must look at redistricting. I just got asked to come and speak before the state house last week. We must look at redistricting. Right now, the Republicans want to give us 3 districts, and we have 15 congressional districts in Ohio. They only want 3 of them to go to Democratic areas. Look at redistricting. Speak, write, call, do whatever you need. Redistricting is important because those will determine who the next president is. Be aware of that. The other one, look at National Guards. He wants to put National Guards in our urban cities to create fear that we won't go and vote. If you think that may happen, what you need to do is go in and do early voting.
Yes.
But do not let fear prevent you from voting. And number 5, pay attention to the voter ID that they are looking to require. A passport and a birth certificate. Correct. Those are the 2 pieces of ID that most African Americans do not have on their hand at any one time. They aren't even looking at the new driver's license, the real. They aren't even looking at that as a proper piece of ID for you to vote. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Right? Vote, call, march, protest, whatever. And I will tell you this, money make a big difference. We boycotted the first ones to boycott Target. Target lost their CEO, and they lost billions of dollars. You were out there with me. We marched. You were the first ones in the city of Cleveland that openly protested. And look what happened. Is that dollar? Is that $90? And my last comment is this. When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes the duty. When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes the duty.
Thank you, Mr. Rinder.
Excuse us. Come on.
You want us to sit here and listen to a bunch of eloquent speakers and people who speak words of platitude, but the people who can change or do something about what she just said ain't even here in the room.
That's right.
Where's the elected officials? We just,
I'm
I'm asking you, where are the elected officials, the policy makers?
Mr. Seals, can you give me a second? First of all, you know that this was an open conversation. Anybody who wanted to come, could come. So what's your individual responsibility? Hold on.
But I also told you, Billy, that you know what? It's time out for us being talked to. When you're not giving us a fair shake at this. All of them. They're very eloquent speakers, and I'm sure they have done a lot of good things. But still, if we're not changing, like they said, policies and laws, then it's just conversation. And until you get the people who are able to do that in this room, this is just blowing in the wind.
Thank you, Mr. Seals. Hold on one second.
Thank you.
Hold on. Mr. Seals, I like the way that you are going to personally put that in my doorstep. I like that's what you said. That's what you said. That's what you said. Okay, so you asked me to listen to what I'm saying. That's what you said. I'm upset that I had to even call this meeting in the first place. To your point, where are the elected officials that should be talking about this? Where was the clergy? Where were all of that? Where was that before I called it? So don't put that in my stuff. I see you in the back. All right, so my real quick, because I'm going to get this closed out. Real quick.
What?
Come on, Bob.
This is what I say in my neighborhood. My name is Myers. I'm a precinct committee person in Ward 6. I worked in one job for 42 years and still, I didn't go to college. So this is what I'm saying in my neighborhood. I lived in my neighborhood since 1968. People's coming down and say, why don't you vote? They say, because it don't count. I said, you got to at least put it in for it to not to count. So put it in so it won't count. How can it not count if you don't put it in? So I'm making them show me where they put it in at so it won't count.
Thank you, Myra. All right.
Come on.
No, sir. All right. Chairman Fahim. Go ahead.
Check. That was powerful. There is so much dysfunction within our community in general, and there is no issue with discourse, right? We should have tough conversations. We shouldn't agree on everything, right? And that's okay. But right now, our fight really is for liberation. It's for freedom.
Yeah.
And we arguing about things that, in the grand scheme of things, are so insignificant. The most powerful statement this entire time came from this young lady sitting right here in this front row. And I thank you. And I see your light, and you are the next leader for this generation. Your time is now. And so, to you, I would say this. There are going to be so many people in your life that attempt to discourage you from pushing forward. Mm-hmm. There you go. And listen, that's all you need. I recently just found out about the story of David, right? And David was this anointed prophet that God had chosen, a peasant, an outcast. And he was anointed to be the next king of Israel, right? And David was up against this giant, this Goliath. And people were so afraid, petrified of this man. And all David had was his faith and a pebble, a stone, and a slingshot. And he slayed the giant. And so to all the young people in this room, there will be many giants you will face in your life, and you will have the capabilities of slaying them all. You come from the lineage of the most powerful ancestors. And to that, I'll end with this. Life is not just happening around us, but it's responding to us. So as a collective, we have a duty. We have a duty. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, I think Ms. Ridgway mentioned that you pay attention to policies and not politics. I have to remind us, in the black community that we've known for years, they say politics is a dirty word, so they don't want to deal with politics. But politics is about your representation in government, and you have to participate in terms of trying to make things better. So you can't underestimate politics. That's about government. That's about what governs us. In 2017, beginning in 2009, Barack Obama was president of the United States.